So now it is my pleasure to introduce to you one of the cleanest comics that I have ever heard, and I appreciate that about him. But let you make him feel welcome, because when you do, he's going to make you laugh. So put your hands together and let's get
You guys ready to have some fun? Yeah. All right. I'm underneath a lot of strain right now. I would appreciate your prayer. Why was the chicken really afraid to cross the road? Because Colonel Sanders is on the other side. This is a presidential dial. You wind it up, and for 4 years it doesn't work. Holy mackerel, look at this! Look at this on the floor. Who did this? David, do you know what's behind this?
No.
That's absolutely correct. Let's start out with a Christian rap song. Why don't everybody snap their fingers with me like this? Even at sitting in a tree, K-I-S-S-I-N-G. Up came the serpent like a water hose. Said to Eve, won't you give him one of those? It was an apple, shiny and red, as big as Adam's perfect made head. The rain came down, thunder went pow. Eve said to Adam, you done messed up now. Could have had some gravy, you could have had some soup, but oh no, you had the forbidden fruit. Thank you. This is a letter about a couple who broke up and they're trying to get back together again, and I want to share it with you. Dear Charlie, I just wanted to tell you that our divorce was entirely my fault. I still love you. If you give me another chance, I promise to be the best wife I can be. I finally realized how stupid I was to lose you, and I hope you'll take me back again. P.S. Congratulations on winning the lottery. We'll be talking about relationships in a few minutes. Most of my information comes from this one book here, Everything Men Know About Women. I'll just flick through the pages for you. So I'll do some impersonations for you. This is my impersonation of the first man on the sun. Ouch, 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 ouch. This is my impersonation of a boneless chicken. This is my impersonation of a dumb man trying to steal shoes from Kmart. This is my impersonation of the Beach Boys. Get around, we still get around, yeah. Thank you. This is called Teaching a Baby Bird How to Fly. I'm going to do some mime for you. Thank you. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. My parents moved from California to Florida when I was 3 years old. Didn't catch up to them until I was about 18. I went to a Christian college in Palm Beach, and that's where I met my first girlfriend. She was all right, but she used to wear a lot of makeup. She wore Jacqueline Smith's makeup by Max Factor, Jacqueline Smith's eyeliner by Max Factor, Jacqueline Smith's lipstick by Max Factor. You know who she looked like? Max Factor. Well, we had a pretty good relationship. We went out twice a week. I went out on Mondays and Tuesdays. She went out on Fridays and Saturdays. Actually, the only dates I get are out of the refrigerator or the pits. My sister's a very pretty girl. She fixed me up with a couple blind dates. One girl was an atheist, so I thought I'd try to convert her. When I left her doorstep, I overheard her say, "Thank God that's over with." There's this other girl named Louise. I waited 3 hours in the corner. Finally, she showed up. She said, "Are you Patrick?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, I'm not Louise." Girls think I'm Cupid. They tell me they've already got a dog. I asked my girlfriend to marry me once. She said, "No, but I always admire your great taste." She misses me now. Every chance she gets. I met a girl through the want ads, but every time I pick up the paper, she thinks I'm cheating on her. I met a girl at the Blue Moon Diner. She said, "Come on over, no one's home." So I went over, no one was home. My minister said, "Patrick, you shouldn't think about girls so much. Raise your thinking, think about girls on days that begin with the letter T." I said, like today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One of the most important things in life, I think, is keeping the family unit together. And my parents said they'd never get a divorce. You know why? Because neither of them want to claim me. It's not to say that we didn't do things together. My father taught me how to swim in the intercoastal. The swimming on the shore wasn't that hard, but getting out of that gunny sack. I think my mother likes me too much. Last time I got her nosebleed, she tried to put a tourniquet around my neck. My grandfather's 92 years old, still has a gleam in his eye, keeps missing his mouth with his toothbrush. Last time I saw him, he's down by the county courthouse waiting for his marriage license to expire. I said, "Look, Grandma, Grandpa just fell down the stairs." She said, "Oh, that's okay. He had to come down anyway." I don't mind my grandparents being a bit senile because they give me birthday money just about every month. My grandfather came from Germany to the United States seeking freedom. Didn't work out. Grandma, come over on the next ship. So I've been seeing a psychiatrist. I said, Doctor, no one pays any attention to me." He said, "Next." I said, Doctor, I've been having suicidal tendencies." He said, "From now on, I want all my payments in advance." I told my doctor everybody treats me like a dog. My mother, my father, even my little sister said, "Here, take it easy, lie down on the couch." I says, "I can't, I'm not allowed on the couch." He says, "How long have you been feeling like that?" I says, "Ever since I was a pup." So I called on the Lord to help me. I said, "Lord, what's $1 million to you?" He says, "About a penny." I said, "Well, what's 1,000,000 years to you?" He says, "About a second." I said, "Can I have $1 million?" He said, "Just a second." When I was a little boy, my grandparents took care of me. And my grandfather used to lock me in the closet for 10 minutes. He called it elevator practice. When I was little, I didn't have any friends to play with, so my grandparents tied sausages around my neck so the dog would play with me. They told me never to take candy from a stranger unless they offer you a ride in their car. When I was little, we were really poor, so when I broke my arm, my grandfather had to take me to the airport for x-rays. When I turned 16 years old, my grandparents tried to surprise me with a new car, but they missed. When I turned 17, I asked the girl for a number. She said it was in the book. I asked her for her name. She said, "That's in the book too." So I tried an online dating course. They recommended dial-up prayer. So I took a course called Understanding Loneliness. Turns out I was the only person in the class. So I'd like to share a poem with you now. It's called Spiritual Friendship. I wrote it, and it goes like this. Friendships cannot be bought or sold. They're much more precious than silver or gold. The love of God is what we can share, whether we're young or old. Just being there to care. Friendships come from deep within our hearts, through our minds, and through our souls. Friends may fail or falter, but one will always stand. Whose love is everlasting? Whose grace divine? No truer friend can we find, ever leaving or forsaking us with his love so pure. Who can ask for anything more? That's my warm-up act. Thank you for the thundering applause. This is my joke book. Been collecting jokes since I was in the 4th grade. I'm going to tell you 200 of my favorite one-liners and jokes right now from my book. You know, when I told my friends I was going to become a comic, they just laughed at me. But they're not laughing at me anymore. I remember the first time I did stand-up comedy. It was a tragedy. I fell flat on my face. I was only 3 months old at the time. I asked my sister what she liked in guys. She said she liked guys that are funny. So I studied every joke at the Library of Congress. Now no girl could take me seriously. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Philip.
Philip who?
Philip with the Holy Spirit. Did you hear about the woman who confused her saccharin tablets with her birth control pills? She had the sweetest baby. A new law for football players in college. They have to pass a math exam before they can play ball. So a teacher asked the football player how much 3 times 5 was. He said 15. The coach cried out, "Give him another chance, give him another chance." What did the football player say after he graduated from college? "Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order, please?" Some kids got into some mischief at the zoo. They were actually brought before a judge. Judge says, "Listen, I don't like juvenile delinquency. Just tell me what happened." First kid said, "My name's Mike and I threw peanuts at the elephant." Second kid said, "My name's George and I threw peanuts at the elephant." Third kid said, "My name's Pat and I also threw peanuts at the elephant." And the fourth kid, who was pretty beat up, said, "My name's Peanuts." This is a postman delivering mail to an elderly woman. A picket fence was between them and a vicious dog was beside her. Postman says, "Did your dog bite?" She said, "No." So he opened the gate and the dog bit him on the leg. He said, "I thought you said your dog doesn't bite." She said, "That's not my dog." I was working as a nurse's aide at a geriatric center in Hobe Sound. An elderly woman said I was a handsome young man. So I told the head nurse, he said, "Well, Patrick, you have to understand a lot of these clients are in need of glasses." A famous actor was visiting our nursing ward one day, walked up to a lady and said, "Do you know who I am?" She said, "No, but if you go to the front desk, they'll tell you." A cabbie picks up a nun in a taxi. He's checking her out in the rearview mirror. He says, "I often wonder what it'd be like to kiss a nun." The nun says, "Well, are you Catholic?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Are you single?" And he said, "Yeah." She said, "All right, I'll kiss you on the next light." So after they passed the next light, the cabbie had a confession to make. He says, "I'm actually married and I'm Baptist." And the nun had a confession to make too. He said, "My name's Frank and I'm going to a costume party." An elderly woman walked up to a man at a convalescent center and said, "I bet you I can tell you how old you are." And he said, "No, you can't." She said, "Yes, I can. I bet you $50. He said, "You're on." So he asked the man to stand up. So he stood up. She said, "Now drop your trousers." He thought about it for a minute and he says, "Well, $50 is $50. So there he stood in his boxer shorts. She said, "Now turn around." So he turned around. She said, "You're 83. And he said, "How did you know that?" And she said, "Because you told me yesterday." Did you hear about the woman who married 4 husbands? First was a banker, second was an actor, third was a minister, and fourth was a funeral director. So that's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go.
4 to go.
Thank you. My girlfriend wanted to go somewhere expensive, so I took her to the gas station. Problem with the oil, it's all in Alaska and all the dipsticks are in Washington, D.C. The minister checking out a psych ward saw a guy in a rocking chair on a porch saying, "Lulu, Lulu, Lulu." The minister asked the doc, "What's wrong with him?" He says, "Oh, they broke up with Lulu. They're never going to get back together. Then he's never going to get over it." So then the minister went to the 3rd floor where the more severe psych patients was, saw a guy in a padded cell banging his head against the wall saying, "Lulu, Lulu, Lulu." And the minister says, "What's wrong with him?" He says, "Well, he married Lulu." A farm boy thought it'd be a fun idea to flip over an outhouse and run away as fast as he could. That evening, during supper time, his father said, "You're going to the shed house." The boy says, "Am I going to get a beating?" He said, "Someone turned over the outhouse. Was it you?" And he says, "Yeah, but when George Washington chopped down the cherry tree and told the truth, he didn't get into any trouble." And his dad said, "Well, his father wasn't in the tree at the time." I was at a restaurant bar and a woman walked up to me and whispered in my ear, "I'll do anything you want for $50. So I pulled out my wallet. I gave her 2 20s at 10. I shoved it in her hands and said, "Here, you can paint my house." The man at the supermarket got caught stealing a jar of peaches. He was brought before a judge. The judge said, "What'd you do that for?" He said, "I was hungry." He says, "I'm going to have to put you in jail." How many peaches were in the jar?" He said, 8. He says, "All right, put you in jail for 8 days. And his wife cried out, "I think he stole a can of peas, too." Church service was going on. Guess who shows up? Satan himself. People are running, screaming, tripping over to get out the door, tripping over each other, jumping out the windows. But one man just sits there in the pew. Satan walks up to him and he says, "Do you know who I am?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Aren't you afraid of me?" He said, "No, I've been married to your sister for 30 years. The Army asked me what kind of insurance I had. I said, "I'm with Jesus Christ, Mutual Life." When my wife married me, she treated me like a god. As time went by, the letters got reversed. The United States Army has a list of all the terrorists in Iran. It's called a telephone book. A rich man, he had a gorgeous daughter, a beautiful mansion, and a swimming pool with a collection of alligators. One day he was having a big party and made a wager that anybody could swim across the pool without getting killed would get $1 million or his daughter's hand in marriage. All of a sudden there was a splash. This guy was swimming for his life. He actually made it across the pool. The old man says, "Well, I have to live up to my end of the bargain. Do you want the money or my daughter?" He says, "I don't want your daughter and I don't want your money. I want the person who pushed me into the pool." The lady put an ad in the paper, "Husband wanted." Next day she got over 100 letters. They all said the same thing: "You could have mine." The honeymoon couple came back from their honeymoon, and the bride started crying. They had a good time, but when they got back, the bride started crying because the husband started using 4-letter words. So she called up her mother on the telephone, and she said she wanted to go home. And her mother said, "What's the matter, honey?" And she said, "Well, my husband's using all kinds of 4-letter words." And her mother said, "Like what?" And she said, "Like dust, wash, cook, iron." And I used to have a drinking problem. I was traveling across the United States. I dropped in a motel room, picked up a Gideon Bible. Pamphlet dropped out. It says, "If you have a drinking problem, call this number." So I dialed it up. There was a liquor store across the street. I said, "Come on over." And I opened that phone up so fast. Thank you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Abel.
Abel.
Able to do all things with the Lord's help. Here's one for the ladies. A little girl in Sunday school was asked to tell the story of creation. She said, "First God made Adam, looked at him and said, 'I can do better than that.' Then he created Eve." Eve said to Adam, "Do you still love me?" And Adam replied, "Who else?" My dad's a Darwinist, my mother's a Christian. One day my Chinese niece walked up to my mother and said, "Where did we come from?" And my mother says, "Oh, we're procreated from Adam and Eve." Then she went to my father, asked the same question. She says, "Oh, we're developed from apes." So she goes back to my mother. She says, "Pa says we're developed from apes. You said we're procreated from Adam and Eve." My mother said, "You don't understand, honey. That's his side of the family." The Bible says, "Don't let your anger go down with the sun." But if you go to Alaska, you could hold a grudge for 6 months. Who was sorry when the prodigal son returned? The fatted calf. How long did Cain hate his brother Abel? As long as he was able. My wife's a religious cook. Everything she makes is a sacrifice, a burnt offering. What did Adam and Eve do when they were expelled from the garden? Raise Cain. Where would we be today without women, Bill? In the Garden of Eden and eating strawberries. Where in the Bible does it talk about the first devil's ham? When Jesus cast the demons in the swine. Why was King Solomon the wisest man in the Bible? Because he had so many wives to advise him. Now, I'm thinking that God made him live in prison because that's where a lot of people find him. Who was the world's greatest financier? That'd be Noah. He floated stock while the rest of the world was in liquidation. What was Noah's occupation? Architect. My church accepts all denominations. 10s, 20s, 50s. A mother was trying to get up her son to go to church in the morning. He says, "I don't want to go to church. Give me one reason why I should go to church." She said, "I give you 3. Number 1, you're my son, I love you, and I want you to go to church. Number 2, you're 30 years old, and you should know better. Number 3, you're the pastor, and we need you to be there." Thank you. What do you call a traveling priest? A Roman Catholic. What do you call a monk that cooks potatoes? A chipmunk or a friar. You know why God gave us toes? Find furniture in the middle of the night. I had the strangest dream last night. I dreamed I died, went to heaven. God sneezed and I didn't know what to say. Do you believe in rock and roll? I got my feet on the rock and my name is on the roll. So, Bill's a minister. Why don't you stand up, Bill? Give Bill a hand. Sit down now, Bill.
Thank you.
I heard a funny story about Bill when he was a little boy in Sunday school. The teacher had asked him a geographical question. Who knocked down the walls of Jericho? And he said he didn't do it. So when his mother came to pick him up that day, the teacher was a little concerned and she said, "I asked your son who knocked down the walls of Jericho and he says he didn't do it." And his mother said, "Well, if my son said he didn't do it, then he didn't do it." The teacher was flabbergasted and talked to his father. She said, "I asked your son who knocked down the walls of Jericho and he says he didn't do it. And your wife said, if my son said he didn't do it, then he didn't do it." And the father said, "Well, listen, I don't want any problems. Just tell me how much the wall costs." Women are like cell phones. They like to be held. They like to be talked to. But if you push the wrong button, you get disconnected. I saw a guy do a really cool magic trick the other day. And I asked him if he would tell me how he did it. And he said he would, but he'd have to kill me afterwards. So I asked him if he could tell it to my mother-in-law. Those who say they sleep like a baby, you don't have one. I'll give you 4 things never to tell a police officer. Number 1, Officer, you hold my beer while I get my license? Number 2, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I forgot to plug in my radar detector. Number 3, are you one of the village people? Number 4, oh, the last officer gave me a warning too. There's a new law for police officers. They have to have 100 IQ to be patrolmen. That's why you always see 2 in a car. No cops in here, I hope. Did you hear the police department got their toilet seats ripped off? Now they have nothing to go on. I got pulled over on 95 for speeding one day, and the cop looked into my eyes. He said, "Your eyes look red. Have you been drinking?" I looked into his eyes. I said, "Your eyes look glazed. You been eating donuts?" It's ironic that the colors red, white, and blue stand for freedom until they're flashing behind your car. One time I got stopped for going 53 in a 35-mile-per-hour zone. I told the policeman I was dyslexic and he let me go. Do you know how to keep the noise down in your car? Let your wife drive. So there was this pond on a farm that was really good for swimming. One day the farmer had a bucket. He was going to pick some oranges off his tree, and he heard laughter coming from the waters. Some girls was skinny dipping in his pond. When they saw him, they moved into deeper water, and one of the ladies said, "We're not coming out of here until you leave." And the man said, "I didn't come here to see you naked or make you leave. I just came to feed the crocodile." I spent about 30 minutes in one. I was at Disney World last week. I spent about 30 minutes in one line. Turned out to be the woman's bathroom. Talking about toilets, my dog always drinks from the toilet. And I asked my mother, "How come he does that?" And she says, "Because the water's cool in there." And I'm thinking, how does she know that? By the way, who invented that brush next to the toilet seat? Man, that thing really hurts. I was sitting in traffic the other day, which is probably why I got run over. Are you Mexican? You're Spanish, right? Okay, good. Okay, you know why there were no Mexicans in the Olympics this year? Because all those who can run, jump, or swim are already in the United States. She's a friend of mine. I have a construction joke, but I'm still working on it. If you start to die in an elevator, I suggest pushing the up button.
Don't go down.
My wife and I have a joint account. I put money in, and she takes it out. If only God would give me a clear sign, like a large deposit in my name at a Swiss bank account. I went through college through the front door and out the back. I need math to graduate from college. 50% of the American public has problems with mathematics. So that means if you take 100 people, forget it. My girlfriend shops like a bull. She charges everything. My girlfriend is very pretty but not too smart. She took shop class because she thought it meant going to different malls. My girlfriend had a makeup exam at school the other day. She brought her mascara, eyeliner, and lipstick to school with her. I haven't seen her in like 3 days. I don't know if she's lost or just gone shopping. I asked my father how much it costs to get married. He says, "I don't know, I'm still paying on it." I have enough money to last the rest of my life, providing I die by next Thursday. What do you call it when your shoes hurt your feet? The agony of defeat. What's a mosquito's favorite sport? Skin diving.
Skin diving.
One day my sister had a stomach ache. And my mother said, well, that's because you have nothing in it. When you put something in it, you'll feel better. Later, the pastor was visiting our house and claimed he had a headache. And my little sister said, that's because you have nothing in it. When you put something in it, you'll feel better. If you don't like the women drive, if you don't like the way women drive, get off the sidewalk. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Noah.
Noah.
Know a lot of reasons to love the Lord. You know, my mother doesn't need to call us for dinner. We got a smoke alarm. Women like to pick and choose. They choose one man and they pick on him for the rest of their life. My mother had an anniversary recently and she wanted to go somewhere she's never been before. So my dad took her to the kitchen. My girlfriend likes to make things for dinner, reservations. Falling in love is like a sweet dream. Getting married is like an alarm clock. A man's voice is usually law, but a woman often vetoes it. Went to the gas station to get my oil changed. He says, your oil don't need to be changed, your engine does. I says, well, what's it going to cost me? He said, $30 for parts and $2,000 for labor. I said, whose labor is that? He says, my wife, she's having a baby. So I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University, and in the morning we used to get apples for breakfast. Some people would take advantage and they take an extra apple for later. So they put up a sign, take only the apples you can eat. Remember, God is watching you. Next day we had brownies for dessert. So I put up a sign next to the brownies. Eat all the brownies you want. God's watching over the apples. I was working for Sikorsky Aircraft as a fireman. One day I fell off a 50-foot ladder. Luckily, it was just the first rung. You know, Paul, the Bible says you can't have two masters. Is that like if you get married and your mother-in-law wants to move in? My dad wanted a surprise for dinner, so my mother took all the labels off the cans. Did you hear about the guy who lost his left side? He's all right now. I was in an elevator and someone said, there's a person in here that has a deodorant problem. I said, it's not me, I'm not wearing any. This is a bank robber holding up a bank. All of a sudden his mask fell off. He looked around. He said, did anybody see me? And one man says, yeah, I saw you. So he shot him dead. He said, did anybody else see me? And a woman raised her hand. She said, I didn't see you, but I think my husband did. This is a rooftop bar. One man was sitting there drinking a beer. Another man came and sat next to him. He says, what you drinking? He said, magic beer. He said, what's that? He said, watch. So he chugged down a beer, jumped off the roof, flew around and landed back in his seat again. The other guy says, I want to try that. So he chugged down the beer, jumped off the roof, went 30 feet to the pavement. Bartender shook his head and said, you know, Superman, when you're drunk, you could be a real jerk sometimes. If at first you don't succeed, your skydiving days are over. You know what? As long as there's prayer in schools, I think as long as there are exams in school, I think there'll be prayer in school. Amen. My parents named me Patrick because I was born on St. Patrick's Day. My sister was born on Groundhog Day, so we call her Groundhog. My little brother, I asked him if he could count to 5. He said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, can you count any higher than that? He says, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, did you know that there's 3 stages to Santa Claus? First, we believe in Santa. Then we don't believe in Santa. Then we are Santa Claus. And according to the presents underneath my tree this year, Santa's not in the North Pole anymore. He's either in Taiwan or China. I'm on a light diet. As soon as it's light out, I start eating. Got a weight problem. I can't wait to eat. You know, I'd like to lift weights, but they're so heavy. My mother lets my dad run things around the house, like the washing machine, the vacuum cleaner, the dishwasher. You know, I think it might be better to get a dog than a wife, because a dog doesn't ask for advice or money. She's already got a fur coat and a license. And if you put your dog in the back of your trunk for 10 minutes and open it up, he'll be happy to see you. But if you put your wife back there, you might want to get someone else to open up the trunk. My mother recently got her credit card stolen, but my dad never reported it because the thief was spending less than she was. I was working at a produce section in a supermarket, and an elderly woman walked up to me and said she wanted a half a head of lettuce. I said, we can't do that. But she kept persisting, so I said, some cranky old lady wants a half a head of lettuce. And she was right behind me, and I said, oh, and this kind sweet lady would like the other half. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Olive.
Olive who?
Olive, Jesus, my Lord and Savior. Show me a man who does what he wants, and I'll show you a bachelor. There are 4 ways you can lose your house. Number 1, hurricane, tornado, flood, divorce.
What?
If at first you don't succeed, do it like your wife told you. A pastor was baptizing people in the river. He looked at a little girl about 6 years old on the dock. And he said, have you found God yet? And she said, no. So he pulled her in the river, dunked her underwater, and asked her if she found God now. And she said, no. And after 2 more times of being baptized, she looked in the minister's eyes and said, are you sure God's down there? 2 birds were flying, and a jet went by. One bird said to the other, see how fast that bird was flying? And the bird said, you'd fly like that too if your butt was on fire. Why do birds fly south for the winter? Because it's too long to walk. My wife wanted to see the world, so I bought her a globe. So many women have one thing guaranteed to knock man's eyes out. That would be their husbands. So this guy bought a parrot who really had a profane language. To teach the parrot a lesson, he opened his freezer, threw the parrot in there for a couple minutes. When he opened the door, the parrot apologized and asked what the chicken was in there for. My mother makes food fit for a king. Here, king, here, king. I'm one of Jay Leno's joke writers. Whenever Jay Leno tells a joke, I write it down. Man is incomplete until he's married. Then he's finished. Never marry a beautiful wife, because she may leave you. If you marry an ugly wife, she may leave you too, but you won't mind nearly as much. Make love, not war. Do both and get married. Sometimes I wake up grouchy. Other times I let her sleep. You know, I like political jokes. Unless they get elected. I looked up the word politics in the dictionary. It's 2 words. Poly meaning many, ticks meaning bloodsuckers. What's the opposite of progress? That'd be Congress. How many presidents does it take to change a light bulb? None. They just promise change. If Hillary Clinton and Obama were on a ship in the Pacific Ocean and it sunk, who would get saved? That would be the United States. Politicians in diapers should be changed regularly and for the same reason. The Republicans say the Democrats are crooks, and the Democrats say the Republicans are crooks. I think they're both crooks. So, I got a kitten at home. What happens when a kitten goes wild and crazy, tears up your carpet and sofa? It's a catastrophe. My doctor's an ear, nose, throat, and wallet specialist. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange.
Aren't you glad you're going to heaven? Here are some questions for you. Why does fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing? Why did kamikaze pilots wear helmets? Why do we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when we're already there? How come your nose runs and your feet smell? Why do we use lethal injections for... I'm sorry, why do we sterilize needles for lethal injections? If the number 2 pencil's the most popular, why is it called number 2? If you want your wife to listen to you, try talking to another woman. A husband who wants a happy marriage should keep his mouth shut and checkbook open. Happy wife, happy life. The magic of a newborn baby can be summed up in 2 words: presto changeo. You teach a kid how to walk and talk, and as the child grows, how to sit down and shut up. So my little brother ate a coin, and my sister said, "Quick, call the doctor." I said, "No, get the minister. He can get money out of anybody." My wife said I can eat breakfast in bed anytime I want, as long as I sleep in the kitchen. My girlfriend came to me crying the other day. She said, because the dog ate the pie she baked for me. I said, "It's okay, honey. We can always get a new dog." I asked the girls at the Hope Zone Bible College if any of them would care for me if I went halfway around the world for them. They said, "Yes, but would you stay there?" If it weren't for marriage, men would spend the rest of their lives thinking they had no faults at all. Marriage is like a 3-ring circus: engagement ring, wedding ring, supper ring. Marriage isn't a word, it's a sentence. So I was getting my hair cut, and I said, "I want it long in the back like a punk rocker, uneven on the sides and jagged in the front." He says, "I can't do that." I said, "Sure you can. You did it last time." I'd never buy my wife an encyclopedia because she knows everything. So Mike Tyson was at Pizza Hut. The waitress asked him if he'd finished his pizza, and he said yes. And she said, "You want a box for that?" She's still in the hospital. You know, I'd like to live every day like it's the last day of my life, which is probably why I don't have any clean laundry, because who wants to do laundry on the last day of your life? My laundry machine has 3 cycles: rinse, fade, and shrink. I heard getting married is a very expensive way to get your laundry done for free. 5 most essential words for a healthy, vital relationship: I apologize, you are right. Whenever my wife needs money, she calls me handsome. Handsome over. My mother had plastic surgery the other day. Father cut up all her credit cards. Love may be blind, but marriage is an eye-opener. No, I don't mind my mother-in-law visiting me twice a year, but does she have to stay for 6 months? If your wife wants to drive, don't stand in her way. Adam had no in-laws. That's why they call it paradise. You know, being God's comic doesn't make a lot of money, but his retirement plan's out of this world. So I'd like to end with a poem. It's called When Things Get You Down. It goes like this. When things get you down, set a goal and reach for it. When things get you down, look to the Lord for peace with it. When things get you down, seek, knock, and ask until an answer is found. When things get you down, find a friend, turn it around. Thank you very much.